And continuing our coverage of the massacre taking place this morning at First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, Texas, we are now getting word from ABC News. Fox News has not confirmed this as of yet, but what ABC News is reporting that the now deceased shooter is being described as a white male in his 20s from outside of San Antonio, Texas, which is about 30 to 40 miles southeast of Sutherland Springs, Texas, the scene of the massacre. And that the ABC News also reporting that this suspect showed off an AR-15 style gun on Facebook recently, and that he possibly has a military background, bringing in Vincent Hill, a former Nashville police officer. Again, Vincent, we have not been able to confirm this ourselves here at Fox News, but based on that information that I just reported from ABC News, what does that say to you?
Well, Arthel could say several things. I mean, if he was military, I mean, could it have been that he was radicalized somewhere while he was deployed for the U.S. military? Or if you think back to 1995 and a guy named Timothy McVeigh, who was a military veteran who actually killed a bunch of people for whatever reason he did. So there's several things that come into question here, but the main thing that sticks out to me is the fact that this individual was apparently posting pictures of assault rifles on his Facebook. Now, is that illegal? No, not by any means. But again, it goes back to what I said earlier. If you see something, say something. If you hear something, repeat it. And I'm sure he wasn't just posting these pictures there without himself in the picture or without some type of comments on those posts that he made on Facebook.
And this certainly takes the investigation into a different direction. Talk about that for us, Vincent.
Yeah, I mean, you really now definitely want to find out what a motive was, if this individual has had military training, if he was in the military. Did he suffer from PTSD? I mean, those are serious issues that people don't take into consideration when things like this happen, but PTSD could have played a factor in this. Again, he could have been radicalized if he was military and deployed in an area where ISIS is known to have operated in. So there's still a lot of stuff that we need to find out as to why this happened.
But can we rule out this? I mean, here it is, again, according to ABC News, that this now deceased shooter was a white male in his 20s from outside of San Antonio, which is about a, 25-minute ride away. Is it possible that he did know someone there in Southern Springs, Texas, and that he did have some sort of axe to grind with someone who may have been a member of that church? We don't know, but these are just questions that I'm guessing that authorities might be asking now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're talking only 25 or 30 miles, we're not talking a great distance of, time to travel. And, 20 miles, he may have known someone at that church. Someone that was at that church may actually live in the same town where this individual lives. So still a lot of questions. We really need to be patient and let investigators weed through the evidence, weed through interviews to find out exactly what the motive was.
Of course, and you're so right about that. And someone who has been in the position of weeding through a lot of evidence is former D.C. homicide detective Ted Williams, also a criminal defense attorney. And Ted Williams, I believe you're able to hear the details that we have been able to share via ABC News on this now deceased shooter, a white male in his 20s from outside of San Antonio, Texas, not far from Sutherland Springs, Texas, having reported as showing off an AR-15 style gun on Facebook recently, possibly with a military background. Ted Williams, what does this say to you?
Well, it says everything that Vincent just represented here. The question is, was this person radicalized? Was this, it's no doubt about it. When you go into a church and you do what this guy's done, this is an act of domestic terrorism. The question is, does he have any international associations? The other question is, again, and you mentioned it, Othel, and that is, does he know is somebody from that community that he had a beef with? I was shaking in my boots in my chair when I heard the congressman say something about it being somebody from he didn't actually say this, but he inferred that it may have very well been somebody from another county. And that led me to right away believe that the congressman and others now know who this individual is. I am sure that they're at his home, that they're checking his computers, they're checking his phone out, or they're checking now to see about this weapon.
Yes.
You have AT&F on the scene there. There's a complete investigation going. This may turn it in a different direction
and
now.
Certainly the president himself is monitoring this situation. Sarah Huckabee Sanders now saying the president has been briefed several times and has continued to receive regular updates on the tragic shooting in Texas. The president has spoke with Texas Governor Greg Abbott earlier this morning.